Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Hopefully this will be a pleasant, 15-minute friendly interview. Each council member will have a question for you. You'll have 15 minutes from the time the questions began. So I would suggest that, your time management on your answers is in your control. Everything that we do here is being recorded. You can take that off if you like.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just make yourself as relaxed as you can.
Appreciate it.
Everything in here it will be recorded and will be played on Bowie Cable TV at the conclusion of the final interviews. That way, no candidate gets an advantage over another. Like I say, we'll have questions for you from each of the council, and then we'll give you a minute at the end to leave behind whatever message you think is appropriate for us to recall. Okay. So we'll start the questions with Mr. Wolfley.
First of all, thanks for coming out this evening. Appreciate your putting the time in, putting your name in, and your willingness to serve the community. So thank you very much. My question for you this evening, to date, how have you chosen to serve the city of Bowie? For example, have you served on city committees, run for office, been on a homeowners association, PTA, or the like? And how will that help you represent your constituents?
Thank you. I've been involved with the Green Team in Bowie. I'm still fairly new with Bowie, but I've been involved in some of the 5K, the Veteran 5K, the Sister for Run, also some of the events at the Allen Pond Park, and participated throughout those events and some of the local church events around here in Bowie. So I think that would represent the constituents here in Bowie as someone that's actively involved and always looking for ways to help the community and engage more actively. My involvement is much more with energy and energy efficiency and sustainability, so I definitely like to promote sustainability with my local neighbors. As a resident, I also have solar at my home, so I definitely try to contribute in the sustainability aspect and energy efficiency.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Mr. Stepp.
Good evening. The Sears location at Bowie Town Center is closing. The owners of the property are planning a mixed-use development on the site. What are your thoughts on the matter?
It's unfortunate to hear. I am located about 3 blocks away from Bowie Town Center, so it's, to me, a place where I enjoy seeing it thrive, seeing the events there with family, and so in terms of however I could bring business back to Bowie Town Center would be something of my interest in terms of making sure that it's still thriving for the community and for the consumer. I enjoy shopping at the Bowie Town Center, so I think it's in a local ideal place off 50, and I think that would be a focus. It's always unfortunate to see the turnover, so seeing what can be done in terms of, is it the expense or is it the location of attracting people, but I definitely think it's in an ideal location within the community to continue thriving.
Mr. Marcos.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you very much for being here and your interest in District 3. My question is a 2-part question on development. The question is, how do you feel about going forward with residential and commercial development in Bowie? And what do you think the relationship between the county and Bowie should be with regards to that development?
My background is actually in development and sustainable development as a civil engineer. So I think the city of Bowie, its location is geographically central. Not only is it close to DC, also to Annapolis and Bowie. So in terms of how it's open to business and the relationship that it can build, there's definitely a lot of opportunity. Your question is twofold, so I'm not sure if I've captured the second part of your question. If you may repeat that.
Sure. What do you think the relationship between the county and the city of Bowie should be with regards to development?
Well, it's definitely a partnership. There definitely should be that public-private partnership in terms of engaging businesses, not only to provide the expertise, but see how the city can also be able to give back to the community. development. There's many aspects to development, so how can we also hold accountable any of the developers in terms of the type of projects that they do, that they don't affect the environment or affect our residents? So that's definitely key, I think, in terms of also increasing commercial and development within the area. So I think it definitely has to be a partnership where there has to be dialogue, there has to be, include all the different stakeholders that we can find a win-win solution in those matters of development.
Okay, thank you very much.
Dr. Trout.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for participating in the process. My question is, what do you think is the most important issue in Bowie, and how do you plan to make improvements?
Well, an issue that's been rising in just our society and in Bowie, I would say the mental health, mental behavior among the youth, and capturing the youth to give back to their community. We find the youth are a lot more distracted with what's going on in the social media, and how do we engage the youth to feel empowered by their community, to want to have participation within the community. So I think focusing in our youth and our that generation, as well as I commend the city of Bowie in terms of how I see the police force and the relationship through the fire department. It's one of the things that I'm pretty amazed about the city, and it really can set an example for a lot of other cities in terms of that relationship. But I am concerned about the mental health behavior among citizens and how that's being tapped or supported. I think if people saw other venues and as well just the privilege that we as a society here have in America, I think that sense of loss and hope would not be so prevalent among our youth, and I think that's important, as well as education. Definitely feel that, and that goes along with our younger generation, and providing the educational system that they are learning things that reflect who they are, as well as our history, and feel, the history that has made America the place that it is, to thrive in democracy, enterprise, and capitalism. And that should not go away.
Thank you.
Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you so much, Ms. Garcia, for coming out this evening. In review of your resume, it's pretty impressive. Your educational background is really impressive. My question or statement to you this evening is, it's my opinion that local government is the most important level of government. Explain why you either agree with me or disagree.
I definitely agree in terms of it being one of the most important aspects. I started a lot of my work with grassroots initiative and outreach into the community. And if people don't feel like they have a sense of security in their local government, it's hard to even connect with bigger causes or on a global scale, federal or statewide. So I think the local government represents the everyday person, the everyday individual. Are your schools being effective? Are your streets being safe? Are your streets safe? Are you able to come out of your house when there's snow days? The refuse, the recycling. I think that's definitely an important aspect of the local community. And I've haven't had that sense being international for a while, so that's the beauty of coming to Bowie and residing in Bowie and feeling that sense of camaraderie and local government support. It's amazing to me to see just in the budget, the community services that's allocated in the budget to provide these services to the community. I wasn't specifically raised in a community that provided such services. It would have been considered, an at-risk community. So to see that level of progress in a city like Bowie, it's definitely commendable.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Garcia. Thank you.
Okay. Now the fun part's over. I'd like to give you an opportunity to take a little bit of time and leave us with whatever thought you'd like to leave us with.
Absolutely. Thank you. Again, good evening, Honorable Mayor Robinson and members of the City Council. It is with great pleasure that I present my interest for the appointment of City Council member for District 3. Mr. Mayor and City Council, I am here today compelled only by my civil duty to support and contribute what I can in service of my fellow Bowie citizen community. After seeing a local community board sign about 3 times a day as I walked my dog, it seemed to be a call from my city asking me to step it up and take a stand. I am multilingual, international civil and environmental engineer, certified specialist on urban planning and development for poverty reduction. I state this because the pursuit of my education was not only with the desire to help the global community, but also, more importantly, a sense of responsibility to be a voice of justice and peace to those often unheard and disenfranchised. Since 2012, upon my return from overseas, I decided that Bowie was the place to call home. Currently, I have transitioned my business to work for the state to support low-income energy programs. If I may, I would like to take you back to what brought my interest today. I am first-generation American-born in New York City from Dominican heritage. I am the 4th of 5 children. My father retired as a taxi driver in New York City, and my mother, who as a single parent in our home, worked 2 jobs as a housekeeper. And battling cancer, she passed away while I was a senior in college. It was her example of grace, culture, and diligence that provided my siblings and I the opportunity to dream beyond. She instilled the drive and values of service, integrity, and commitment, and love for the community. Their example taught me to embrace my experiences. As a teenager, I helped start a nonprofit run by youth for youth. We championed the transformation of abandoned properties into a community art parks and obtained over $300,000 just from the city mayor at that time. We helped train the youth from the inner cities to the statewide with the purpose to unify the community through the arts, grassroots outreach, and showcase local talent and diversity. I have learned to persevere against the odds, becoming often an exception where there were no exceptions, which taught me to find win-win solutions with accountability, and hope to do the same with my capacity as City Council member for the residents of Bowie and local businesses for growth, unity, and progress of Bowie. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
And we got the remainder of this evening, and then we have more interviews tomorrow night, so hopefully we'll reach a conclusion very quickly.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.